Hi, and welcome to Changemakers with Eleanor, the podcast where we dive into the lives and lessons of those who are making a difference. I'm your host, Eleanor Baggaley, and in each episode we bring you inspiring stories from leaders, coaches, and people who are not just dreaming of change, but making it happen. Whether they're penning their first book, working in their community, or leading a revolution in their industry, you'll get a first-hand look at how they're shaping the world. If you're looking to leave a mark or simply love a good story about modern-day heroes, you've come to the right place. Here, we're all about changing the world, whether that's one person's world or the world in general. So grab your notebook or just a comfortable seat and let's explore these fascinating journeys together. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts to ensure you never miss an episode. Let's go change the world together. Hi, so on this episode I have the lovely Dawn with us. So Dawn, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about where you're from and a bit about your background?
Okay, perfect. Thanks for having me, Eleanor. It's great to be here. So my name is Dawn Henning-Reeman and I live in Essex, and I'm in the Gavin part of the Gavin and Stacey part. I guess a lot of people know me as in different areas. I started off when I was at school playing hockey, and at some point my teacher asked me would I umpire a game of hockey for the younger years, and I ended up becoming an international hockey umpire, and I've got over 80 caps for England and GB. So I've been very, very lucky to have travelled all around the world, seeing lots of different places, and been very fortunate enough to be able to upskill and be able to get to that amazing level. That was an amazing part of my journey. And the reason I'm telling you that, because when I finished umpiring because of injury to my Achilles, I ended up going into umpire managing, which involves coaching and mentoring and an assessment of other umpires. So I actually started my mentor and coaching journey way back in 2007, 2008. And when I sort of decided to change my corporate career from project and program management in the change and transformation world, I looked at the skills that I had and what I really enjoyed doing, and I basically have mentoring and coaching as my backup skill and use it in the way that I help other people. So that's a little bit about my background.
So I'm guessing kind of when you were in your umpire days, you must have kind of had some challenges that you had to deal with.
Oh yeah, quite a few. I mean, if you think about the refs on the football pitch and the amount of abuse that they get, there's a little bit about that comes with it in the hockey world too. Although we're a little bit more aligned to the way that as an umpire in hockey, which is slightly different from refs, but as an umpire in hockey, we align a little bit more closely to the rugby world in how we manage players, and we have a bit more respect. Both to and from, we don't have the BS that happened in football, so it's better in that way. But I mean, I can give a number of examples, but there's one that immediately springs to mind when I was in Lithuania, and I was at a tournament where the eventual winners, whoever would win that particular tournament, would get a place into the Olympic qualifiers, which in a preceding year, and it would get them into the Olympic qualifiers. And Lithuania, as the home nation, fancied themselves, and whilst they weren't seen as a team that were really at that level, that's how that they were selling their.
I guess you've got to admire their belief in themselves.
Absolutely. I mean, the program was full of, when we win this tournament or when we go to the Olympics. I mean, whoa, it was interesting. But yeah, it was definitely interesting. And I remember a game that I was umpiring between Lithuania and Scotland, and they both teams at this point needed to win this game to become the eventual winners of the tournament. And the one of the Scottish players was driving through on the left inside channel and got into the circle, and the defender, who also happened to be the captain, made this tackle, which would have been a penalty corner in hockey, but a penalty in football on its own. And I tried to play an advantage, and then the captain picked the ball up, which in itself is also a penalty, and now is also a personal penalty, so a yellow card. So there's sin bins in hockey similar to rugby.
I was going to say I'm more of a rugby girl than football girl anyway, so yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, so there's a sin bin. There's a sin bin thing going on there, and there's a green where it's a 2-minute suspension, and a yellow where it's 5, and then the red where you're off for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
But anyway, I ended up having to give not only a penalty stroke and to Scotland, and I yellow carded the captain. Now you can imagine I was not Miss
For
Popular.
Lithuania.
Oh yeah, to the captain of Lithuania. Apologies, yeah. And Scotland scored, and Lithuania were not happy. But not many people had seen the pickup of the ball. It was quick, but it happened. I mean, you know, the next day the video came out, and that there was proof that happened. So I was totally correct, but nonetheless, let's just say that I had to be kept inside the area of the pitch. It was fenced off, and I had people spitting, throwing coins, shouting abuse, telling me they were going to kill me. It was quite frightening at the time. And you know, you had these shouts of, well, it's your own team. You know, Scotland and England aren't the same country, but of course you can understand the connection with GB and the whole, you know, the Olympic cycle. I get it, it's confusing for others, but you know, it's not the same thing. But flying the black flag for England, you know, it's not the same for Scotland. You're different. But nonetheless,
but I think any Scottish people would be horrified if they were being accused of being English.
Correct, absolutely, yeah. And actually, I've remembered that because we had to actually have a real time where we kept on the pitch, and it was like I had this group of umpires around me just because it was really quite harrowing. And I do remember one of the girls put their tracksuit top on me just to keep me warm because I couldn't even get near my kit. Okay. And at one point I went, whose jacket am I wearing? And it was the Scottish girls, the Scottish umpires jacket. And then so now I'm wearing the Scottish tracksuit. Oh, you know when you go, oh my God, could this get any worse? So I did survive, but it was pretty harrowing, and that's not your day-to-day happening at a hockey match, but that kind of thing can happen. So
but clearly it does. So obviously that's kind of quite a significant challenge, but I guess kind of one of the big successes that came from your time doing that is where it's led you to now and the work that you do now. So what is it that you're doing now, and why do you feel it's important to do the work that you're doing now?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I guess I retrained as a coach and mentor as part of ICF accreditation, and I just thought, you know, how can I use those skills to help other people? And I now either help individuals, so whether they're at a leadership level or team level, with one-to-one coach and mentoring, and making a difference to them, and the things that they come for me the things that they come to me vary, but typically when I help these people, even if they're coming as a lead, you know, I've got problems, and I need to know what I need to do with my team. I look at the person behind the title, because you've got to be able to understand yourself before you can actually lead others well. And part of the work that I do is doing personality assessments, you've heard of the Myers-Briggs and the insights. So there's a couple of things that I try and do to build, whether you're, a CEO or whether you're somebody at a lower level, understanding yourself and how you operate and why you've got to the stage or where your beliefs are coming from. It's really, really interesting. So that's, I like to work with the person behind the title and then going on to work out how that works in a team environment and, getting that 1% improvement. So it's all about the person and how you can self-improve. And some of the things that I do is go into organisations, and some organisations might know that they've got a problem and say, we need some help with X. Or they're saying, actually, we want to see how we can improve. So it's looking at those opportunities to get that 1% improvement and to get the teams working more cohesively together. They might actually be perfectly great team and doing really well. But if you want them to really excel, it's about making those small changes and understanding how they work together.
I was going to say, and I guess like you're talking about doing work with the leader to find out about who they are, but actually, I guess it's equally as important to find out who's underneath every single person within the team to see how they then work together, what their different strengths are, how they kind of work cohesively to be able to kind of get the best from them.
Yes. Yeah, that's absolutely right. And there's a lot of things like, our characteristics that we have. I mean, a lot of that comes from childhood. So if I think about my own characteristics, I come from quite a big family, and I was told at one point, you're the eldest, you're in charge, do not let anything happen to them. I took that to heart. That was my challenge.
Yeah.
And I guess part of it, there's a natural instinct to do well. I'm very competitive, and I don't know if you can tell.
It's all right. All the best people are.
Yeah. But I get things done. Like making decisions under pressure, which helps with the whole being a hockey umpire, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But when you do that and you take it to heart, you can go over, and it's either like a scale, or you've got like a needle that goes from brilliant through and it tips into, now it's becoming a problem. So if you think about a personality like myself, where you do step up and lead and take control of situations, tick, 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 perfect. Don't mind, don't mind taking the flak if you make a decision and it goes wrong. Great, tick, another tick in the box. Leading by example, another tick in the box. So now let's look at how that might not be so good, and where people call leaders toxic, which I hate, because they're not actually looking at where the real problem is. But let's examine that a little bit more. And that might be that they take that controller personality is because they're taking so much of control, and they're not letting the people in their team or their peers or whoever, their partner at home, it doesn't have to be a person in a team in a corporate, they're taking so much control, but they're overpowering and they're overbearing, and the other person doesn't feel heard. They don't feel like that they can share their ideas because it'll be thrown out immediately. It becomes, whatever your strength is, it can become a limiter to how you behave and how your relationships are managed and how you lead. It can be simple things like, everyone's heard of micromanagers, but
I've had a few in my time.
Yeah, me too. When I start to think about it, when I started looking at this, I've been a micromanager to some point and thought, my God, that was me. And you start off because you're a perfectionist and you want to get things right and you want to do the best for the team, either for you, your team, but actually you start picking holes in what other people are doing, and their confidence goes, and then their trust goes, and then they step back and they're not putting in what they used to. So, and then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because you're saying, well, I might as well do it myself because they're no good at it. I might as well do it because I'm better at it than them.
And I guess you lose out on everything that they then have to offer, big or small. And we all have different experiences that we come to organisations with, don't we? And actually everybody's got something to give, even if it might not look the same as what you do. There's still something equally valuable to give, and you don't want to put someone's light out in one area, because you're then going to miss out on so much of the stuff that could be amazing.
Absolutely. And we've got, different kinds of personalities. You've got a lot of these personality assessments have you in 4 quadrants, with the red, blue, green and yellow. And but within that, you might actually have different characteristics in each of those, but some are stronger than others.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I've done a few and I'm just like, I'm everything. I'm just all over the show. Yeah, but yeah, you do obviously have your dominant areas. Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting how you see yourself once you've done these assessments, and it helps. But if you start to understand how you are and how it's helpful, but also how it limits you, as I said before.
And I think that's probably the key thing, isn't it? That a lot of people don't necessarily do that bit, because, I think really valuable what you're saying about the strengths that people have, but actually recognising when that tips that balance is really important. And I guess not even just in a work sense, I guess in any sense in life, it's important, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. We've all got characteristics that are really important, and there's not one better than others. It's true that there might be some characteristics that would be more suited to a specific type of job. So let's take different caring, very empathetic people might, I'm going to use nursing as an example, right? They might tend towards that kind of career. They might not. I'm just using that as a really easy example. And people that are really data orientated, they like data. They can't make decisions without data. Data analysts can, that kind of thing. Process. My husband's a process improvements manager. I'm sure I'll get the title wrong and get told off for that. But ultimately, he's got a spreadsheet for everything, and his friends will take the piece.
I mean, I love a spreadsheet, not gonna lie.
I must admit, I do like a spreadsheet, but not as good as his. But it works, right? Because it gets things done. But also it can stifle the spontaneity that you need to do stuff. So sometimes I have to remind them, come on, let's go out and do stuff.
Let's go and do salsa.
Exactly. We go out on a Sunday night and we and we do salsa and we have lots of fun, and it's definitely taken him out of his comfort zone. It's like, I can't do it. Yes, it's really good, but
he needs a spreadsheet for his steps and then he'll be fine.
He pretty much does. What he does, as lots of people do, he records, I guess, the teachers or the demonstrators from the class, and then he'll watch it back, and that'll help him. He doesn't put it in a spreadsheet, perhaps, but what he does is he will build a step on top of another step and work out that you can do this after that one, and he get very frustrated when he can't do it. But the fun we have is just amazing.
Yeah. Why is it important for you to do the work that you do in helping leaders kind of understand how they work with their teams?
I guess it's twofold. One is just being a better person. That's the primary reason. Getting people.
We can all be the better people, can't we, from time to time?
Yeah, I remember when I first went into coaching, it was to actually help people become a better version of them, and as I've done more of these personality type assessments, that has helped, because it helps you understand. But that's only one piece of it, right? You've got that you've got that area where people come to you with a problem and say, well, I've got this. I mean, I can't even think of an example. And then when we start looking back at their childhood and their values and their beliefs play into who they are now, but they don't realise that they're being held back by some of those. Some of it is not about the characteristics, but it's about information that have taken on as a child that's really stopping them becoming a better person. None of us are perfect. We're all a work in progress. And I just feel if we can look at helping become better versions of themselves, it impacts all areas of their lives. So whether it's them at work, whether they're in a corporate, whether in they're a small business owner or they're stacking shelves at Tesco's, you can all become better versions of you. And that means different things to different people, right? We're not all aiming to be the same person, the same personality.
It'd be boring if we were, wouldn't it? So
yeah, absolutely. But also going into organisations, so it's actually to help them understand that it's not just about sacking somebody because they've done something. It's actually trying to help them improve who they are and how they behave. And actually, organisations spend an awful lot of money on hiring and firing people. And by the way, this isn't just about having people that are problematic. This is about getting senior leaders, those decision makers, to understand that if they invest in their people, that the return on investment is huge. I think there's something like 700% return on investment on coaching and mentoring per se. But when you twin it with looking at the teams as a whole, and then looking at the people behind those titles. So it's not just looking at the manager who might be toxic. It might not be at the person in the team who's problematic. It's looking at what's going on behind the scenes, at them as an individual, and then how they work as a team, working out what the hell is going on. It actually could be something that's coming from the board and the messaging is just all wrong. So when we look at change and transformation, the messaging and the communication that comes out is a huge factor. And the fear that it drives for change in organisations, I've worked in change and transformation for far many years I'm going to disclose, but and the fear that it creates and therefore the behaviour that happens, if only the communication was better and actually get involving people in the change, so it not only does it help individuals, it helps teams, it helps groups, and it helps organisations, and for those people, it then helps their lives outside of work. Because we're not all about work. We are people that just work.
Work should just be a small part of our lives, really, shouldn't it? And I think probably too many people allow it to be the main part of their life. And sometimes there needs to be a little bit of perspective with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So so going in as a business consultant to actually look for any opportunities for growth and just there might be problems that there might not. It's not necessarily about getting somebody into, we've got a problem with this person. It can be that, but it's about looking at the opportunities to be, I think I mentioned it earlier on, to go from good to great, to go from great to excellent, right? We've got opportunities to be better, and why not invest? Because that's what the people that are winning at life, those people that have got money in the bank, because they're looking at opportunities to invest in the right areas and invest in their people. They get the best out of their people, not through cracking a whip, but by investing in them and listening to what.
And finding out how they tick.
Absolutely, yeah. And they all tick differently, right? So, having a beanbag in the flipping office is not going to crack it for most people. All right, it might help somebody. I'm not sure who it is, but it might help somebody. Or, a pizza on Friday. Some people love it, some people hate it. But listen to what the people want and actually cater for different things. And by the way, I'm not suggesting that is where the problems are. I'm just saying some people come up with that as a
yes, yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. So what's your vision for the future? So obviously, is it just kind of carrying on, keep helping people? Is there anything else, kind of grand plans that you see happening in the future with how you're helping people to be that best version of themselves?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd like to see more people in a group setting, if you like, that were outside of the workplace, as well as for me going into the workplace and helping, but actually for helping other people who are putting up their own hands and saying, do you know, I'd like to invest in my own future. And so to help them either in a group program where you've got like-minded people also wanting to do the same thing in a support environment, or on a one-to-one basis. So, you know, I'm all ready to go off and become a dive instructor at some point. You know, I mean, this middle-aged woman knows no bounds, and maybe that's what I'll do one day in the future. But I'd still want to do this kind of thing, even if it was not full-time, because I do think people can dismiss the idea about self-improvement, and they might, you know, dismiss the term. Some people really hate it.
Yeah. There's interesting views on this. I mean, I wrote a book for teenagers called Becoming the Goat, and that was about becoming, and it wasn't about being the greatest of all time. I always talk about it as in it's about becoming your greatest of all time, and the fact that is a journey. And obviously I wrote that for teenagers, and so many adults have read it as well and have said, oh my God, I really needed that. And I wrote it specifically for teenagers because it's kind of, that's a time when there are so many other influences. Obviously they're still there at adulthood, but a lot of adults learn to maybe tone down how important some of them are in impacting who they are. But yeah, I guess kind of it is about being your own greatest without that kind of impact, and looking at kind of, oh, well, I'm not as good as such and such in whatever it might be.
Yeah, that's just reminded me, and I hadn't thought of it for a little while, but when I have connections on LinkedIn, not always, but I've been tending recently to send a note once I'm connected with people to say, you know, I'm not trying to make connections as numbers. It's not a numbers game. To actually try and make connections.
Yeah.
And you know, so here's a fun fact about me. So I tell them a little bit about my hockey background, right? And you know, I've got 80 caps for England and GB. What's your fun fact? Honestly, I've had some amazing things come back. I used to be a professional dancer. I defected from Russia and now live in Australia. I used to be a dive master, and now I'm XYZ. I can't remember the XYZ, but I remember the dive master bit.
Yeah.
I've had.
I guess it's just really, really diverse with what you get, and I guess that's why I always ask, and I'll ask you yours now. Anyway, but that's why part of the reason why I always ask for a fun fact for all the guests on the podcast, just to give kind of an insight into it. So I had one woman, I think it was possibly the first episode, who was a biker, and I'd known this person for ages, and I was like, how on earth did I not know that? And it was amazing to kind of find out something totally random about her. So go on then, Dawn. We've heard about the hockey, we've heard about the salsa. Have you got any more fun facts or interesting facts about yourself? Putting you on the spot now.
Well, not salsa, but I have danced at Blackpool and won a bronze medal for my jive.
Oh wow, I am a little bit jealous, especially the bouncy floor at Blackpool doing a jive on must have been amazing. My only experience is from watching Strictly, but it does look like it would be immense fun to do that.
Yeah. I mean, just to get things in perspective, right? I am nowhere near that kind of level that you see on Strictly, and I have actually.
But you're better than you were 5 years ago.
Oh, this was a while back, but interestingly, well, for me it was interesting. The first time I went to Blackpool, because you have to qualify, and you have different levels. So you not only have age groups, there's a bit of a bell curve where you know, as a kid, and it gets into the adults that are like at the top of their tree, and then as you age, you know, your skill level or energy level peters off, so you're in different age categories, right? And not only that, but then you've got to do examination, so the skill level that you're in, so you compete in your age and like certification level. And I was in like real beginner level at that point when I won my first one. I can't remember what they call it, bronze or something. I can't remember, but it was the lowest of the low in terms of the qualification.
Still better than what I'd be able to do.
And my teacher at the time, because you have a number on your back, and so the judges mark you, and then they decide. So there's several rounds in each group. It's crazy, really, and you get called out. So they call you back. So it's whether you get a call back, and you've got to remember your number. You know, I might be 32, number 32. So they call it out from the 1 to 100, and you get up to 29, 30, 34, and you're not in, right? And that's you done. But I got called out. So I got called into the final, and my teacher at the time, who after this I didn't go back to, said, "Oh no, you're that wasn't you." I went, yes it was. And so I went on to the ballroom, and I was told that if your teacher doesn't come with you, you have to put your hand up and say, "Look, I'm here, but my teacher's not here." And he was like, "What?" And I said, "Yeah, it's me." Like, and then I came third. So he didn't believe in me, but I did. And you know what? That's what got me through. So that, and I believe to this day that it was a lot to do with self-belief, getting through, that helped me in that particular situation. But the bouncy floor is amazing.
Oh yes, no, well, maybe one day. Who knows? So can you, before we kind of finish off for today, can you let us know if anybody's listening wants to find out more about what it is that you do in terms of the work with leadership and teams and helping people kind of be the best versions of themselves there, where can they find more about you? And obviously we'll include the links and things in the notes.
Okay, yep. So you can find me on LinkedIn, and I am Dawn Henning-Reeman on LinkedIn. And if you want to send me an email, because I'm recalibrating my website, but if you want to, I have you can email me at dawn@dhrcoaching.com. And actually I've just remembered I'm doing a free webinar but I don't know if this, to be fair, I don't know if this will go out after the webinar, so that's going to be Monday. But I'm doing a group program for individuals who want to learn more about the way that their characters and the way that they self-sabotage by tipping over to that edge. So I'm doing that. So if they're interested in finding out a little bit more, that starts on the 29th of September. So send me an email and I'll send you the link so you can have a look to see whether it's suitable. So that's dawn@dhrcoaching.com.
Fabulous. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us, Dawn. It's been an absolute pleasure who knew we were going to be talking salsa, jive, hockey and leadership and goats. So thank you. It's been brilliant to chat with you. And I hope you've enjoyed it too.
Oh, it's been amazing. Yeah, no, it's great fun. And I'm sure we can do another one another time. So we've got enough content to go on for ages. But thank you so much. I've really enjoyed it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Changemakers with Eleanor. I hope you're leaving as inspired as I am. If today's story has sparked something in you, remember it's never too late to start making a difference. Whether it's writing that book you've always dreamed of, stepping up in your community, or starting that campaign you're passionate about. If you enjoyed our time together, please consider giving us a rating and review on your favourite podcast platform and share this episode with someone who could use a little inspiration. Your support helps us to reach more changemakers just like you. Join me, Eleanor, in the next episode for another deep dive into the stories of those who dare to dream big. Until then, be your greatest. See you next time.